How's it going, everybody? I'm Souls44, and today's going to be a special episode dedicated to just vampirism because there's a lot of questions about vampirism, and I think people um are curious as to how the mod works. And I don't know all the details. Okay, I don't know all the stuff, but I've learned the basics, at least how to get started. You may have to figure out a little bit of stuff on your own. But as far as the vampirism mod goes, the hardest part is deciding what faction you want to go with, right? Like some people really want to use the abilities of a vampire, but they are also overlooking the fact that when you become a vampire, you're stuck with the idea that, well, you have to suck blood, or at least you have to get blood constantly. The other part that's my reason why I chose to be the Hunters Guild was because our Hunters faction was because that I didn't want to have to deal with the doggone sunlight, daylight thing, right? Like operating at night. First of all, makes for bad content if you don't have night vision. And second of all, it's annoying. And so I'm here in a creative world again, enjoying my giant island above there. You'll have to excuse the weird stuff that's going on because yes, I am testing stuff, including an end portal and stuff in the end. But yeah, we're gonna go through real quick on how to become a part of the Hunters Guild. And then I don't know if I can do it in creative or not. We're gonna find out right now. So first things first, um, you can do the Hunter's Guild without ever even meeting a hunter. Okay, you don't have to join the Hunter's faction. What you need is a chair. This chair, the injection chair. The injection chair is actually really not that hard to make. It is a simple matter of one block of wool, a bottle, and some iron. And so you can get this kicked off pretty quick. The next thing you're going to need is a syringe, a garlic injector. And in a garlic injector, if you just look right here, is very simply just a syringe, which is just 2 glass and a glass pane, and then a clove of garlic. And garlic can be found all over the place. Like you break enough grass, you're gonna find garlic. Okay, so grass is, you know, I destroyed most of it around here, but you can just break grass and get garlic. Once you get enough garlic, plant yourself a little thing of garlic. It'll help you out later on down the road. And so I'm going to try to inject myself. I don't know if it'll work. But you go over to the injection chair and then, boom, right click the injection on it as if you're in the chair. You don't actually get in the chair. I hope that clears up that. Now, I am now a member of the guild, now a faction. So the problem with it is I'm in creative, so it's kind of, yeah, I'm not actually in the faction. So I guess I'm going to have to go into, let's give myself another injection and we'll work on it from there. I didn't think it would work, so I kind of prepared. There's also the sanguinaire injection. I want to cover that too as well. That's just vampire teeth and a syringe. And I think it works the same. I think you can just walk up to an injection chair. Let's check. Oh, I'm already part of the Vampires Guild, but because I'm in creative, I can't show you this stuff. So I'm going to go into the game mode and go into survival so I can show you some of the stuff. Okay, yes. So here in survival, you'll see there's a little 1, if that ever goes away, the little blue 1. That blue 1 is actually this right here, this little fangs. You click on that, and that allows you to access your factions, abilities, and your level. And of course, you start off at level 1, and then you can go higher. Now you got your skill screen, which will allow you to access your different abilities based on the skill points that you have. Now I think, and I'm hoping, that people will understand that you got to get skills to increase your level, depending on whether you're a faction of vampire or you're a faction of the Hunters Guild. And in order to get those skills, I think that's the question that people have really is no, okay, now I'm a vampire hunter. What do I do? Well, that part gets really weird because in order for you to get levels in the faction, that's when you need to start looking for vampire hunters to help you out. Now, before I leave create survival, there's also edit actions. Now this is where you're going to get to put in your abilities and stuff once you gain them and assign them shortcuts, etc. That way you can and you can open up your keybinds here so that you can do your vampire stuff. Um, there's also these resistances and stuff like that too. So let's say I want to become normal again. I stand here with the sanguine injection. It's going to say I'm going to die. So I'm going to revert back to normal. Okay. That's going to revert me back to normal. But if I was already a normal human, this was going to be like I die, but I'm going to resurrect as a vampire. That's the symbology of it. Okay. I hope that's clear. It's really that simple to become one of the two factions. Now I'm going to go into creative and see if I can pull out a hunter egg. I don't know if I can find a hunter egg. So let's just see. Oh, yes, we can. So we have to spawn a hunter trainer and we have to spawn a hunter deal. Okay. So we have the ability to pull those out. Um, so the Hunters Guild comes with a whole bunch of different levels, and they're gonna. And my suggestion to anybody, I know that there's an opposition at some point to doing a very large streaming farm, because they say it causes lag and such, and it does, I think, to some degree, because you've got guys that are constantly scanning a bunch of bottles full of creatures, and you've also got the guys dancing around, right? The little drigneys that are dancing around, so they can cause a bit of lag. And I'm going to be doing a full-on experiment off camera of my other previous world and in here as well, and see if a very large Drigme farm does indeed cause lag. I do know that the movement of a lot of particles and things, like I've got Botania at my survival, and I've got um, Ars Nouveau, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff that's moving a lot, and that movement of animated objects does cause lag, so it is a thing. I'm not going to discount the fact that I know for sure that monodirectional cables from integrated dynamics that are um, reaching distances, those also cause lag. Okay, so don't discount that. I know I mentioned it in one of my videos. Just keep that in mind. Those cables, for some reason, cause lag, and I don't know what it's all about. I'm not the guy for that. But here, so um, you can do a hunter camp. So can I do a campfire for them? I don't know if I can create their campfire. No. Doesn't look like I can. I don't even know what that complicated bee is. But as you're traveling around, you're going to find yourself a bunch of vampires that are by a campfire. That's going to be your first location, right? There'll be a trainer. I can't even spawn this guy. A hunter. I can't even spawn that guy. So I guess the question is where do you find these hunter trainers at? It says, I don't train hunters as inexperienced as I am. Look for someone less experienced. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to go find an actual in the wild hunters camp, and I'll explain to you guys a little bit more about how to level up so you can reach this guy. Because this guy is located, you can find him. I'll show you that location as well. Just give me a minute. It's going to take me a little while to find one, but I'm going to find one for you, okay? So I'll be right back. Right back. Why is my stuff not working? Okay, hopefully I'm back. I had actually screwed up something real quick. I wanted to talk. So I had some hotkeys mistake. So I was in peaceful mode and I didn't realize. So these guys can both be friendly and your enemies as well. And so if it's you're in peaceful mode, it wouldn't let me do it. So I just put it on the easy level so that way I can spawn these guys. So what you're gonna look for are just a regular vampire hunter. Okay. And as a vampire hunter, I can now, as part of that faction, I can train. Now, in order to do that, you have to follow what he asks you for. In this situation, he says, pay me one or more vampire blood bottles to train you. All right. So, this is probably the easiest way to do it, of course. I'm going to go ahead and get myself some vampire blood. Now, you can get vampire blood in a bunch of different ways. Obviously, the easiest way to do it is to go through and kill vampires, right? Like you're going to have to find a bunch of vampires and kill them and train up. And then once you have those, you're going to go ahead and say, all right, I want to train. And it says, I hope you learned something. Now, oops, I got to be back in survival. All right, so now if you look, I am now level 2. And with that level 2, I get skill points that I can allocate to this right here, to using a stake. Now, this is an extremely powerful weapon when it comes to vampires. It's also a pretty good weapon in general if you enchant it all the way up. Um, they do break fairly quickly, but they swing pretty fast. In this mod pack, you can jab the death out of vampires really quick. So it's a really good weapon to have, of course, if you're fighting vampires. Now, this one right here, he says you just keep going until you get enough, get your level, and that's it, right? So now I am level 4. In my single play, if you've watched it straight through the videos all the way through to the end, you'll see that I'm like level 5 or 6. And in order to go any higher, you have to find yourself the trainer, which is right here. The trainers are located in lodges. You'll see there's a bunch of wooden logs around it looks like a small village, but really everyone inside there is pretty much nothing but vampire hunters. And you'll find him in the center tower, and he actually asks you for something different. Notice that it says here intel, and here it says iron. In this case, it's iron. So we're going to go into game mode, creative again, grab myself some iron. We'll just go ahead and make sure we have plenty. And then we're going to go ahead and grab a lore book. I don't know if it's in here or not. That might be a problem. But here's the thing. If you really want to get a whole lot of vampire stuff for vampirism, you can actually contain or use a Drigme farm on the vampires, or vampire hunters, and they will drop a bunch of items that are from the vampirism mod. I might have to actually, I don't know if I'm going to be able to cheat it in. There's so many books in this mod pack. So let's see if we can find the vampire mod real quick so I can pull that out. In fact, give me 1 second and I'll get it all set up for you. Okay, so I'm back and I think I got this worked out. Hopefully I got it worked out. So there are 3 levels to vampires that you're going to be dealing with, and there's 3 levels to vampire hunters that you're going to be dealing with. And I wanted to make sure that was I was understanding that correctly, so I did a little bit of testing. I did create a temporary Drigme farm just to make this go by a little bit easier. You can get these vampire books from killing advanced vampires. Once you get to a high enough level, I'm going to go ahead and have to go back into survival to show you, but once you get access to your level that you're at, the highest level that you can get from just training for giving them blood, you're going to need to give a whole bunch of other things as well. And I still suggest using a Drigme farm, and I do think maybe that somebody was onto the lag, because I've dropped quite a few frames by just putting this small little Drigme farm in here. So it could be it. There's nothing else going on, really. I mean, maybe, but yeah. So anyway, I went ahead and summoned an advanced. There are the 3 levels of vampire are going to be of course, so there's your regular vampire. Then you get your advanced vampire, and then you have a vampire baron. Now, the vampire barons, I have one in here. Say what level they are, and they'll say vampire baron. And the vampire barons often will drop, when you kill them with a stake, or sometimes regularly, they'll drop purebloods. And your purebloods have different uses depending on what you get. But what you're really looking for to advance after you get to level 4 or so is going to be these journals. Now, you can do it with the My Prince as well, but because there's a bunch of different journals. Now, this one's only given me the Journal of a Madman, but I don't think it makes a difference. But you're going to want to go up until you get to the research table as a vampire hunter, right? Because we're still trying to advance as a vampire hunter. So in the research table, once you have access to it, it says you're missing a book. Well, that just means a book, right? And then now I also need to get some vampire teeth, which you can get plenty of vampire teeth this way is the same way as you could through killing vampires in any other way. So you're also going to need a vampire book. Now that could be the My Prince. It could be the Journal of a Madman. I don't think it makes a difference. And that's going to get you here, which will take you up to level 5. This is what you're going to want to take for Hunter's Intel when you start getting to the Advanced Hunter. Where's he at? Oh, I captured him on accident. Oops. The Advanced Vampire Hunter. Nope. Trainer. There we go. Hunter Trainer. I got a whole bunch of stuff going on. So there's the trainer, right? The trainer's not going to let you go up any higher without these books, right? So it wants iron and a book. I had to manually click that in there, and now it'll let me level up, right? And so now it's going to ask for, well, it wants 10 more iron and another vampire book. So we're going to go over here to the trainer. And now in order to get to the next book, it wants Pure Blood 1. And you get the Pure Blood from the Advanced Vampires and from Barons. So you're going to have to kill Barons in order to go even higher. So let's see where we got to, let's sort this. The Jigme Farm is going to give you all the stuff you pretty much need. So here's Purity 1. Purity 1, a book, and a journal. Now it's up for level 6. And you go to the trainer. You give him what he wants. Now I'm level 6. Okay? And then now, same thing. This time he wants 15 iron. And this time they want, oh, same thing, but this time they also want teeth. So I go ahead and come in here, grab some teeth. Basically, the more vampires you kill, the better off you are, right? That's all you're going to do is you're just going to go ahead and say, now I want Purity 1, that's fine. And then your book, and now I can go to level 7. Where did he go? He's right behind me. Give him some iron, give him the book. Now I'm level 8. This time he wants 40 iron, so I don't even have enough iron. But you get the idea of how that works, I hope. Any of your advanced vampires in this mod pack are going to have names. So this is an advanced vampire, Crimson Cat. He just happened to have a name, Crimson Cat. Your basic vampires are just going to say vampire. And your basic vampire hunter is just going to be saying basic. This is going to say vampire hunter. Now your advanced vampire hunters are also going to be named. So this is a vampire hunter, and this advanced vampire hunter, and this is an advanced vampire. And then that's a baron. Now, if you're having a hard time dealing with vampires or getting them or finding them, there's ways to do this. Wow, I'm getting creepers spawning. That's not cool. I don't like that. Go away. And the way that I found it on accident in my mod playthrough, or my playthrough of the mod pack, was to create a village, and I went ahead and set up some stuff to hopefully make this happen. So the order to get the villagers to kind of like band together as a villager hunter vampire slaying community, you've got to create a totem, or you can go to a village that has a totem and you have to construct the totem. And I think, if I'm right, there are 2 different types. There's the fragile, and then there's the village totem top. And that's the one that I accidentally made and put together. The fragile one, I think, is already pre-spawned in some villages, and it's random. But you have to have villagers, I think, in order for this to work. So let's just go here. And then we can give them a few jobs. We can just get a smithing table. Anything that that technically quantifies you as having a village. Right-click it, and it's going to say a nearby villager is under attack, yada, yada. It's going to say a bunch of stuff. Now, if you look, it's gonna say Hunter Village Raid. What that means is the hunters are actually raiding this village, and so a bunch of villagers and hunters will spawn out of nowhere, and they'll show up at your village that you created, and they'll come by and try and defend this totem base. And so every night, when you get, well, not every night, but every once in a while, you'll get a raid attack by a bunch of vampires, which they'll bring in both regular vampires and eventually advanced vampires, and maybe even a vampire baron that will allow you to capture them and or use them to get the parts you need to go up higher in level. And that's basically it for the vampire deal. Now look at this. I've already filled up this thing almost full of books of all the different kinds, and then a whole bunch of armor and salt water, etc. So the key is going to be to find the vampire trainer, and once you reach level 4, he'll get you all the way up to the maximum level. And with that, then you can then craft, create, and use vampire items. All right, the raid is almost done. And there it is. We are now in a hunter's village. So now technically everything in here is owned by the Hunters Guild. And you're going to start seeing all kinds of crazy stuff because I am at, I'm already, look, that guy, I didn't spawn this guy in, he just showed up. And you'll get villagers, you'll get vampire hunters, and then you'll get these guys right here, which are village hunter experts. And these guys will give you armor and various different things from the Hunters Guild, and you can level them up just like you would with a regular villager. And then you'll also get an older guy. Here he is, a representative. The representative allows you to go through, and if you do some of the quests he says, you can get rewards for vampire blood 10, let's say. Go find yourself some vampire blood. Well, what do you know? I got some right here. Take it to him. I guess he doesn't want that one. Oh, it says host villages can. So you're going to run around and fly around as a vampire hunter. Let's get up and out of here so I can stop listening to that. So one of the quests was for me to go capture some villages. And basically the idea is to go around to different villages and capture them for the Hunters Guild, or vice versa for the vampires, etc., however you need to do. And that'll get you your levels and also your cool items that you can get. And some of the items are actually pretty cool. I really don't use them in this mod pack because they're just not as powerful as what you can make with Tinkers or other. From what I've tested, they're not as powerful as what you could get from other mods. These guys right here from, stealing some stuff. So that basically sets it up for you guys to get through and create your own vampire adventure with vampirism. To find this guy right here, the trainer, you got to go to a village that's got one, and I can show you what they mean by that. Give me 1 second. I will fly around and I'll find that one myself. So be right back. Okay, so this is what a vampire village looks like. Vampire hunting village looks like, where you're going to find the trainer. To look on the map, it looks kind of like this right here. It's got a barricade around it, got a couple huts. And if you have, sometimes they're not going to have anybody in it. Like in this case, I do believe they were all murdered. There's a dragon nest over that way. So they might have died. But this is what you're looking for right here. As you can tell, it comes with a vampire research table. And it's going to have all kinds of vampire hunter goodies inside. Your inventory here isn't going to make a difference. But it also depends on the spawn. Like sometimes you're going to get unlucky and the spawn, like I just did right now, is going to be empty, or it's going to have very little as far as creatures inside. But you got your item, your crucifix, and all kinds of other stuff that you can get and use once you get the appropriate skills. But you saw how this one was used. It says incomplete for my level. That's because I haven't leveled up. So I'm going to go game mode. survival. And now when I open up here, I can take a look and go to my skills, and I can use up all those skills that I did. All the way up until you get to the master parts here, where you can get all kinds of really cool skills, like this right here, how to actually use this instantly kill any vampire NPC as long as NPC from behind with a stake, as long as its max health is below 200. So you can get all these really cool powers and abilities. You can unlock the crucifix. And basically, you're not going to get enough points to max this all the way out, even on the higher levels, but you can get master brewing, concentrated brewing, those kind of things. I tend to go with the basic alchemy, and then you can increase your attack, but you can learn how to use crucifixes, that kind of thing. Now, I don't have any more skill points left, so I have to get to another level, but this is where you're going to get your vampire hunter guy. He's going to be around here somewhere if you're inside where a spawn actually didn't destroy everything. So that's it, you guys. This is what location. Now, oops. I did have to RTP to get here because the area I was at was pretty bad. But that's it. This is what it looks like. You're going to look for one of these. The structure's right here. This is where the trainer is going to be located so that you can go past your levels. Otherwise, create yourself a vampire hunter village. It doesn't have to be where your home is. In fact, I recommend it being a separate village somewhere that you're guarding. And then just take care of that village. And the raids are really, really good because they're smaller, they're weaker than the regular raids in MC Eternal 2. And every time you complete the raid in that area, you're gonna get Hero of the Village, and you're gonna get your guys that are like I created, were smithing villagers. They're gonna drop a bunch of loot items. And eventually you're gonna get yourself all kinds of really high-end, useful materials that you can put in your Tinker's crafting system. So if there's any more questions about the Vampirism mod, I'll explore into the vampire side on a separate video. I've never really gone super deep into the mod itself, but this will at least get you started on your way. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask. And if you know, you know. Take care. Bye-bye.